Right, good evening, students. I would like to welcome you to our Akalit workshop. It is the 20th of May, so we are going forward with our literacy workshop, academic literacies workshop. And tonight, I thought, or this evening, I thought we should look at the writing process. This should make good sense to the students, the workshop, because when you write, you follow a certain process. And I would like to check with you if that process involves in it planning and involves in it reviewing the work and that has been drafted, and then final presentation of work that is ready for submission and for marking. I'd like to check if this would be what students in their literacy practices, academic literacy practices, they adhere to that, or do they apply that? Yes, so it's writing process and structuring essay using mind maps. This, I think, is something that we have known throughout our learning experiences, be it high school, even here university, that when we write, we treat this as a process, not as perhaps an activity where we write and submit what we have written for evaluation or for assessment, but we sort of follow certain stages in the writing process. And so this is what I would like to check with the students, if we are indeed applying this important literacy, writing literacy, applying this literacy practice in our writing engagement at university. Because if we are not, then we are submitting to the marking units, we are submitting drafts. We are submitting drafts, and as we submit those drafts are not going to yield good results. Or perhaps we submit work that we have convinced ourselves that, in fact, this is ready for submission based on our feel about it, and we haven't thoroughly applied our minds to the work itself. So let's look through this presentation engagingly and see if we can derive fruits or benefits from these presentation, and I'm hoping that we will. So I want you to be able to write a thesis statement, okay? I know that when you are writing, remember, it is process writing, and it is about structuring the ideas. How do you structure, the ideas, okay? Bear this in mind. We treat writing here as a process, and we want the ideas that have been generated or have been gathered to be organized successfully in mind maps, which we are going to use as planning towards writing, which will yield fruits at the end, right? So writing a thesis statement is very important skill. You need to be able to write that, and we need to know what this does. I would think of all the modules where extended writing is expected, that in your introductory remarks, a thesis statement should really be evident there, so that it provides the pathway for your essay or your extended writing for the reader to know what direction this essay is taking. Otherwise, we would be lost. And once you read the introduction, if that direction is not provided, the thesis statement plays a very important role in that. So being able to write this is important, and it's our objective. Now, not only are we interested in getting our students to write in a manner that is structured, but we also want students to treat this writing as a process. And as they treat it as a process, bear in mind the important aspects of your writing, including the thesis statement, that you need to put it or craft it in a manner that is suitable for the topic you have selected or chosen, and that it is giving guidance to the reader what to expect in the essay or extended response that you are writing. Also, answer a few short questions on the writing processes, and I'm going to give you those questions. This is the content for this workshop is long, and so I will not be able to exhaust it in just one sitting, like one workshop. So I will actually have to do two sessions, but based on the writing process and based on structuring the ideas or structuring your extended writing or your essay, be it research essay or any other essay that you are writing as given by your lecturers. And I suppose each module expects students, maybe not all, to provide a longer response to questions, be it paragraph or two, or even an essay. And that should be, it would then mean that that kind of writing needs to be organized. The ideas need to be organized very, very well or carefully in the paragraph. If you look at the last bullet there, it speaks to organizing ideas in a paragraph. How do you do that? Where do you start and where do you end your paragraph? I think this would actually be a helpful presentation to students to see how to organize their ideas in a paragraph so that it is not just a random collection of ideas and they are not connecting one to the other or to each other, and there's no flow or they don't stick together. So organizing ideas is a very important skill which we also want to emphasize in this workshop, right? And we also want to distinguish expository and argumentative between expository and argumentative writing. Very important that we also do that so that when we are given an argument, we know how to put it together. When we are given an expository writing, we also know how to, but we're doing this not in detail, looking at the heading for our workshop being the structuring of essays, as well as heading being planning in the form of applying or application of the writing process, which would include planning as one of the stages in the writing process. Now, those are the objectives. Each type of writing requires you to adhere to certain formats and rules. You would know that expository or research essay requires certain rules. Argumentative, comparison or contrast form, or cause effect essays, they all have format and rules that apply. What essays have you been given, or what topics have you been given for a paragraph response or two paragraphs response? Think about those. Think about the assignments that you had to us or are to submit. And if it is an essay topic, is it expository or argumentative or comparison contrast or cause effect? If these are the ones, we need to get into them. How do you approach such? And if it's especially argumentative essay where you have to construct an argument, how do you go about doing that? And that actually makes this workshop long, because you have to look at certain aspects more closely than others. and at least ensure that students are able to get um, um, value for the money, so to speak, or at least value for time invested in these attending these workshops. Let's look at phases of the writing process. And I think students are familiar with this, that you need to plan. There should be pre-writing, there should be drafting, there should be reflection, there should be peer review, very important. Remember, I spoke of the writing process. Let's look at the phases of the writing process. We students, and I'm also guilty of that. I have not planned well. You know, I am doing work, I have a family, or I have friends. I need to juggle between work and studies and friends and leisure and many other things that are activities in my life. It's reality of life. And so I'm left with just a day or two to submit my assignments. And I find that I have 2 assignments to submit in a week. I don't have time to do the readings, you know, and to do the readings very well. So what do? I would cut corners. In other words, I will just try to take the quickest route to submission. And the quickest route is to perhaps me even gather some ideas and maybe even using cut and paste methods and submit, you know, and hope that things would be fine. Well, it's because I haven't managed my time very, very well prior submission. It's a fact. We have different challenges and we get tired, sometimes feeling like I'm not going to open my books because I am exhausted and I really need to take a rest. And the following day, I feel the same, not better. I can feel that my studies are taking a back seat, and I have now to work under pressure. I have really registered because I want something out of this. It's helping me to learn new skills. I need to get through these studies, but the pressure is just there and I get stressed. And what I do, it's last minute kind of work to get submissions through and at least wait for the results. So we find the writing process to be laborious and just not worth it. Yet it is very key to quality results. You know, if you do not plan, if you do not reflect on what you have drafted, if you do not revise, you will submit, and I want to say you will submit work that is still in the draft phase and not yet ready for submission. You need to follow through the process, the writing process, and ensure that work that you are submitting is work that is you can actually feel even that confidence that, you know, I'm not sure, but I've given my best shot here. I have tried to do the right thing and I've given myself enough time to do it. Meaning we have to be very, very disciplined in terms of managing our time and also sticking to the time frames that we have given ourselves in the planning, in the schedules rather that we have set for us, or rather that we have set for ourselves. So don't skip this and just submit because it's due. You will not be doing justice to your studies. So I want to hear from the students. What do they do? You have a paragraph or 2 or 3 to write, or maybe even short questions, or you have an essay to write. and you have to submit that. I like essays because that is where you evaluate information. That is where you do some research. That is where you synthesize and you analyze. You analyze, you evaluate, you synthesize, and you then put together this work in writing. And having done that, you then decide, okay, I need to get someone to read it for me to check if I have done it right or not. And so then taking it through those phases, very, very important before the final submission. But let me hear from the students. Perhaps I am preemptive in terms of students perhaps submitting in the 11th hour, like I would do sometimes. But I'm hoping for a different response. And if not, there is a way that we can actually reorganize ourselves better. Let's look at reflecting on our own writing process. Please describe your usual writing process in 10 steps or less. What are the things you do between the time you are given an assignment, say 2 weeks earlier, and the time of submission? What do you do between those times? Okay, 10 steps. Maybe you should just write, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. Maybe you don't follow 10 steps. Maybe it's just 2. Write any number that you want of steps that you take before submission of your assignment. Now, this is between you being given that assignment and submission. Let's hear what you do between those 2 time frames. Right? Step 1, write on what I know already. Step 2, I research and add more information to what I've written already. Okay, I research and add more. Okay, so you write down what you know. What do you know about the content words which are given in the topic? Okay, good. And then you do your research. Okay. So I then do my research to add more information to what is there. What, in other words, to add to what I know, right? And save the links to save the research. Step 3, give examples. Step 4, rewrite everything from scratch. Okay, that is for what he, or rather, I'm not sure, Muswane writes what they're doing when they are actually writing, or rather between getting the assignment and submission is what they do. Thank you for sharing that. And Dibello writes, understand the assignment. In other words, understand what I am asked to do. In other words, analyze, if it's a topic, analyze the topic carefully and know what I am expected to do. Read the instructions carefully and know exactly what I am expected to do. And then plan my time, break weeks into phases. Think Well wants to write maybe phases, break weeks into phases. Okay, that is step number 2. After analyzing the topic, then you're planning. What am I going to do by this time? Okay, thanks for sharing that. Right, he writes, Dibello writes, research and take notes. That is good. That is the next step. After knowing when to do what, or by when to do what, you then research and take notes. And let's see what Andrews writes. go through my questions for the assessment, analyze the question, and then highlight what it's exactly asking of me. Good. Analyze the question. That is very, very important. I am going to talk about analyzing the question in this workshop. You will see how important that is. It is very, very important to do that. But you will see when we get to it. Go through my sources. Okay, go through my sources, plan out my main ideas for my assignment board. In other words, mind mapping. Okay, and then entries go on to say, find evidence from my sources to go with it. In other words, to go with the main ideas. Okay, good. And write my first draft. Good. Edit and proofread it. Good. Make adjustments if needed. Good. Write my final yes, and draft. Then upload my work. These are the phases that stages that are undertaken prior to the final submission, and he's taking us step by step as to what they're doing before submission and right up to the date of submission. Thank you very much. We will compare, hoping that as you have those, you will then be able to see what the presentation has to offer. Remember, our presentation topic is structuring essays, but even before that, we want to know the writing process, and Andrew touches on some of those things, as well as I saw some ideas that are presented in the responses of some other students, where the students indicate reading instructions carefully is what we actually are going to be talking about. And also analyzing the topic, this is what we will include. And as part of the process itself, right? Then Akanya writes, read through the questions. Good. Do research based on what I have read. Good. And start writing. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing that. Then Tibello goes on to say, create an outline of my ideas. This is into logical structures. This is mind mapping, or this is an idea list, or a list of ideas that will be presented in the essay. That's the outline, and write my first draft. Right. Thank you. Thank you, students, for sharing your steps. Very important to share this, because we want to learn from each other what we do. If you just write and submit, today is the due date, and I start in the morning because I want to beat the submission time. Maybe it's 4 o'clock cutoff or 12 midnight, and I submit. I upload and submit. Having started at 8 in the morning, hopefully I'm able to finish around 6. I'm ready to submit, upload, submitted, done. And did you do all the other things that are required? Let's look at the writing process as given here. Perhaps this writing wheel is what you are doing, but I would like that students really, really take their writing through this. It will improve. There is a point that Andrew and Tibello are mentioning, and I think I read it from the other submissions that other students have made, that topic analysis. If you look at the pre-writing phase, phase 2, topic analysis, they mentioned that. But before, In the planning phase, number one, here we plan the time that we're going to spend in writing this assignment. Please do that. How much time do I need? I look at the number of words that I need to use if I am given an essay, or I look at the mark allocation, and perhaps they might even give you an perhaps a suggestion how much time you should spend on the assignment. Even if they are short questions, they might be time frame kind of duration of work to be done on the assignment suggested to the students. And this is what you need to take into consideration and balance that against your own schedule, work, family responsibilities, other things that you do in your life, and create a writing plan. Create a writing plan. You have 4 modules. Their submissions are not, their due dates are not the same. Do not look at an assignment date of submission as very far. Look and say, okay, I can actually plan and do it quite well if I am able to do one step or one piece at a time per day. I used to get this advice from my lecturers. They would say, look, if you want to write papers, you need to do at least one paragraph a day, one paragraph a day. They say to me, if you do that, you are not spending a lot of time outside the assignment or project, the research project. What they meant by that is your mind is that you don't lose traction. If you understand what I mean by that, you don't lose traction. Your mind is working on it even when you are not actually sitting at a table with a laptop and notes and other things that you are reading. As long as your mind is working on it, as long as you have not separated yourself from it for a long time. Because once that distance is created, you forget about it. And your mind is not thinking about it, like what you can do next, what you can add. When you work on one paragraph, or even just half a paragraph, and you leave it, your mind does not stop thinking about it. Maybe during the course of the day, you might pause and say, but that part, what can I do to solve it? You see, you're still thinking about it even when you are doing other things. So you can pause during lunch and you are like back to it, reconnecting with it, even when you're not physically in the office or in your study working on it. But you are still, because you are in touch with the work, you are not far away from it mentally. You are able to go back and you are not starting from the scratch. You are just continuing from where you left it. If you are able to keep that momentum, then you will be able to do it successfully. So they discourage that long break between the start of your assignment and the time when the submission date is nearer. And when you have those long breaks, you start and then you stop. When you start again, you have to start from the beginning, because you need to remind your mind what is it that you did and where you are so that you can be able to continue. So you lose traction, you lose track of what you are actually, what you had started before. So doing little bits up to the time when you have put it all together, and then you can now look at reviewing it and other things like those would help make the work look less burdensome and more manageable and not overwhelming when you have a number of dates that are pressing and little time on your side to do the quality work. So create a writing plan weeks before submission date. And as a result of that advice, I avoid taking long breaks between my writing, even today, between my writing and um, between my writing processes. In other words, I give myself time, even if I am to spend an hour a day on a certain aspect, I'll do it. But if I take a day break, fine, but two is too much. I need to go back, get back to it and start working, take it one step at a time, try to think through things and stuff like that, but not be away from the work for so many days, because when I get back, I don't know where to start. And I'm not having a recollection of what I had actually done before. So create a writing plan. You may not stick thoroughly to it, but at least it would guide you where I should be. And when you are falling behind, you can now add more hours to make up for the lost time. At least you can check yourself against the writing plan. Where am I? Where was I supposed to be? Am I on track or am I falling behind? And so that would actually help discipline you in terms of making decisions as to what to do with your work during which time. You have 4 modules and each needs to be planned according, rather the time management has to be done thoroughly for each of them to be effectively managed and submissions to be met. Otherwise, there would be those that might fall behind and as a result be carried over. So think about that. Create that writing plan, very important, before submission date. And then following that plan, then in the pre-writing, before writing, think about the topic. If it's an essay, think about the topic, read through that topic and analyze it. Now, we want to work on topic analysis. Let's go to topic analysis. You see, the writing wheel goes up to stage 6, which is editing. But I want to move away from this slide and go to topic analysis immediately before I go to drafting, reflection, and others. Let's go to topic analysis, and I'll come back after topic analysis. Look at topic analysis slide. What do you do to analyze a topic? And I'm glad that students have mentioned this. We ask the question, what are the steps that you follow between the time you get your assignment topic and date of submission? What do you do? You gave us the steps that you follow. And of course, the planning phase suggests to you that you need to create a writing plan. Look at it here. Look at it here. You need to create a writing plan weeks before submission. Okay? And having done that, you then start to say, okay, it's an essay. I'm given a topic. So today I'm working on the topic and I'm going to spend an hour on the topic also, just analyzing it, trying to get to understand it and other things that are related to it. And maybe even jotting down what I know already on the topic. That would be an hour, that would be part of creating that writing. That would be perhaps added to the writing plan. To just keep yourself following the plan. Now, topic analysis, when we do it, we look carefully at the question. We examine the question to understand what is expected of your written response. Students, let me indicate how often I've been working with students for a long time now, over 10 years. And over this period, I have realized how students, especially with essays, how students are digressing from the topic, unaware. And they come to me and they say, I just cannot get this module right. I keep re I keep registering every year for this module and I don't get over it. This is my third year trying to get it right, but I'm not. Can you help me? And you then give them a topic. You check what module content they are working with. What is the problem? Look at this. Let me just give you a simple example where the students are getting it wrong. Now, let me work with this slide for a while. Look at this. I have here argumentative writing here at the top left, argumentative writing. And on the right side, I have expository. I've given you the topics. I'm just showing you what is going wrong with students working with topics. Even if it's a short, like a paragraph question, we get it wrong because we do not really know exactly what we are asked to do. We're not responding to the question. Look at this. Let me start with argumentative writing. And please, it's not only about essay write. All questions, pay attention to each word that is used in the question, and don't rush through it. Look at this. This one says, in your opinion, does society go too far in its obsession with weight and right? Right. Look at this. There's weight. This is body weight, the mass, the body mass, and physical beauty. You see, we have two content words: weight, body weight, and physical beauty. You will find students in their response, they neglect the other content word. They might focus on just one aspect and neglect the other part. They are addressing this, but they are neglecting the other part. They might say things about body weight. They might say a lot, but neglect physical beauty. You know, and so that balance is so important, that the question in its entirety is addressed in the student's response. So it requires that the student plans, rather analyzes the question carefully, and having analyzed, understand what they are supposed to do. What am I asked to do? So that you're not focusing on one aspect and neglecting the other. And the other thing, here you are instructed to write an argumentative essay or an argument. Now, if you don't know how to argue, then you will just write without arguing. You see, and you're losing marks in the process. So it is important that I understand what I am asked to do. Once I get that right, I am ready to go forward, to move forward. But if I still do not know exactly what I'm asked to do, I really need to work on what I am asked to do until I get it right. And once I am sure what I'm asked to do, I'm ready to go. Until I am ready to go, I cannot go. Otherwise, I will provide information which I am not required to provide and get marks that are not a true reflection of my potential. So where the students are asked to argue, you would find the students are doing what? Discussing. Because the student is not aware of the difference between arguing and discussion. And that difference is so important. Understanding the question words or the question verbs is so important. And I will just ask you to go through this with me this slide, I'll come back to it. I just wanted to just highlight one key point, which is actually creating problems for the students, and they are not aware. Look at this one. Look at the second column, the expository one. It says discuss. Students don't know what is to discuss, and they then struggle to discuss. Okay. Are you aware of the meaning of the question verbs or the instructional verbs? Are you aware of that? If not, work on that. Work on the question words. Discuss, explain, account for, demonstrate, identify. All those question words are very, very evaluate, argue, know what they mean. I'll come back to a slide. I think I have a slide that just covers the question words, or rather the question verbs. And here you are asked to discuss two of these issues. Now, you discuss two of these issues, and in your discussion, what do? You show, you illustrate, you see? So I must choose two issues. I mustn't forget. I must choose two issues to discuss, and the two issues are suggested in the given information. And it's either I choose crime or illiteracy or any of the given melodies that are there. And then I choose two, work with two in my discussion, and I need in that discussion to show or illustrate how they affect the development of South Africa. Now, notice this. If I do not understand what I am supposed to do, I will lose it there. I will lose marks just there. I am supposed to identify two melodies, two issues, and discuss them. In other words, show how they manifest in the country, those issues, how they manifesting themselves in the country, what they are and how they manifest in the country, and then show or illustrate how they are affecting the country's development. So I need to cover those areas, those key areas, because it's what I'm asked to do. Please don't forget to do that, to analyze the topic carefully. I'm emphasizing because really you'll find that the student has brilliant ideas, but they are not sufficiently addressing the topic. And they wonder, look, I have no spelling errors. Look, my sentence construction is good and I've done my best. But why is my mark low? You have not sufficiently addressed the question because you neglected to analyze the topic carefully. Right, let's go back to that analysis slide. Right, I hope I make sense to the students in the presentation on the importance of topic analysis. Please don't neglect that. Even if it's contextual questions, do not rush through the questions. Understand what you are asked to do and do what you are asked to do. Right, and read the question or the topic slowly. Why? For understanding. The second time, to break the essay question into different parts. Identify the content words or the keywords that indicate what content to focus on. What content to focus on? What is it that I am going to focus on? And this will inform the research that you should do. When I type in there, what in the search engine, what am I searching for? What am I searching for? Okay. What am I searching for? The key content words or the content words will help me search for the right sources. in the internet, rather on the internet. And I am able to get there because I have identified the content that I need to focus on, right? I hope you get the flow of the presentation. And it could be abnormal psychology, socialism, or punishment, depending on the topic that you're working with. And then circle the instructional key verbs. Highlight them if you like. These are words or verbs that tell you what to do. They either ask you to explain, and I need to know what is to explain to make something clear and easy to understand, right? Discuss. What do I do when I discuss? Critically evaluate. What am I expected to do? In fact, talking about the question verbs. Let me go to the question verb slide. Look at this. You are asked to explain. Your response here is to clarify the term, especially if you are defining it or concept given. Give as precise and accurate description as you can. Okay? And what about critically analyze or examine? You think deeply about a topic, look at the positive and the negative sides of the issue when you're asked to critically examine or analyze and provide your comments. When you're asked to discuss, and this is the common one that examiners like, discuss. Here you write about something without taking a side on it. You compare number of possible views about that issue or a problem. You know, you are looking at the different facets or sides of that issue. Okay, if it's crime, you look at the causes and the effects of it. You see, you look at the different sides so that the reader is informed about crime. So if you look at different sides or different aspects of an issue for the reader to be well informed about that issue which you are exploring, it's like an exploration rather of of a topic, you know, um, uh, exploring the different sides so that you get a broad view, a comprehensive view, if you like, of that topic. I hope you get what I'm actually saying to you. When you evaluate, you make judgment about a topic, a given topic, by commenting on its significance and others that you need to focus on. Compare and contrast here, you show similarities and differences, of course. So these could just be a list of few verbs that I'm throwing out there, students to see, but it should at least prompt you to say, there are more verbs that I'm actually exposed to. I've seen these verbs. What do they ask me to do? Find out their meanings. If you are struggling with those questions or understanding or breaking down or analyzing a question, arrange with me, especially on one-on-one, because now here we are generic. We are having students from different modules or different faculties. But now in your modules, you will find perhaps a student is struggling with the way questions are phrased, and they cannot just break through those questions in order to give answers. That's just the interpretation of the questions. Just working with those exam questions is a challenge. And you can arrange a one-on-one consultation through Sony. Send him an email and say, I'm asking for a consultation and I want us to work on this particular aspect. You are more than welcome to do that. Don't sit with that challenge which is hindering your progress and hope it will go away. Arrange for that so that we can deal with specific issues pertaining right now, pertaining now to your module. like I'm saying, with question verbs that are related to your module. And we try to now do what? To unlock the meaning, get to the correct interpretation there. So you may be using different question phrase words in your module, but you need assistance with a number of things. Do make arrangements for that. It is a service available to all students for free. Right. So I was just on the topic analysis, and I said it is important to look at the instructional verbs or key verbs, highlight them, and work on them. And oftentimes the examiner would give you a rubric as well that accompanies the assignment. If it's an essay or paragraph kind of a question, they would give you a marking grid, which you that the examiners, rather the examiner would use to evaluate or to assess your work. So the rubric is important. Also, before you start writing, check your rubric. What is it that the rubric is asking? Let me give you an example. Or what is the criteria given in the rubric? Check what it is requiring of your work. If you look at this rubric, don't neglect the rubric. Don't neglect, find it and check it as well. I have just one thing here or two on the rubric. Look at this level. An essay that achieves 75%, that is a distinction between 75 and 100. In terms of content and structure, this is what is expected of the work of the student. So you are going to evaluate your own work or assess. That is self-assessment, your own work against the criteria given in the rubric and see if it meets the requirements. If you look at the excellent mark there in terms of content and structure, it would say irrefutable evidence, sound interpretation, pardon me, irrefutable evidence of sound interpretation and knowledge of the topic. So the student has an excellent understanding of the topic, and they have actually selected the relevant content to address that topic. And the content in their essay is presented logically, and the ideas are logically developed in the essay. In other words, they are not muddled, the ideas. The student identified the ideas and has integrated them logically, or the paragraphs are having a flow from one idea to the other. You are not lost in the thicket. You can get to hear what the student is actually taking you through, and they're doing it step by step and is not confused. It is flowing from one paragraph to the next, like the flow. If I were to give you an example of a chronology, you don't find that something that should be at the end is right at the beginning, and what should, or vice versa. No, it is flowing from start to end. And the student also, as part of content and structure, there is well-researched essay, and they are using excellent or rather accurate referencing skills like the in-text referencing. We're going to have a workshop on that in future, and that is actually well done in the or excellently done in the assignment itself. And they have written, look at that, a captivating introduction, highly convincing conclusion. That's an excellent 75 to 100% achievement in terms of content and structure. What about language? An excellent mark for language. This is a student who has a very good command of the English language, and they have used correct structures or accurate grammatical structures, and they have skillful, sophisticated use of words, and also they're using linking words, and their work has coherence. In other words, the ideas are flowing in the essay, and they know the rules of grammar. The presentation is outstanding. It's painstakingly done, exceptionally neat and legible, clearly defined paragraphs, breaks, and bibliography is meticulously listed as well. Overall, this is an excellent or outstanding essay, right? So you get that 70%, rather 75% to 100% kind of. I'm deliberately doing this to say to students, to draw your attention to saying, did I check my essay against or evaluate it against the rubric that is given? And when you evaluate it according to the excellent mark, not the low or average mark, the excellent mark. Do I meet the descriptors that are given in each criteria, in each criterion that is given in the rubric? Okay. So I spoke here about the rubric, which is point number 4. And then point number 5, check the restrictions. This is pre-writing, by the way. This is still, you have not yet started. You're working with the topic, you're working with other things that are there, and you have not started writing. Do you see how important it is? You've checked you are applying yourself to a number of things before you even start writing, so that you don't lose marks. And the injunctions or restrictions, let's look at this, because the instructions should not be neglected. This is where the student is given these kind of requirements, and they should not neglect them, because they can do it at their own peril. Students, if they neglect those injunctions or requirements. Let's look at them in the following way. Usually, the examiner will give you the number of words which you should use. Don't neglect that. The format that you should use for a particular genre. If it's an argumentative essay, there's a format for that. If it's expository essay, there's a format for that. So you need to adhere to that. And if you are asked to also include a bibliography, you must do it accurately. Know how to write a bibliography by researching that. If it's Harvard style, again, familiarize yourself with the requirements. We're going to have a workshop on Harvard, on APA, and we're going to be able to see what is expected there. There are editions, of course, different editions, and you need to know which edition you should use in your referencing. And the examiner will indicate, right? And also, so check the requirements. The instructions will actually give you what you should actually do, the length of the essay and other things that the examiner might require from you. Please check before you start writing. Otherwise, you will really do things the wrong way, and only to find here that the student can do great work, rather can produce great work, but because they neglect this foundational work, they are throwing themselves into the deep end and unable to produce quality work. Let's then look at the other aspects. I hope this is helpful to the students. Familiarize yourself with the given information. It could be a graph, it could be a quotation, it could be a claim, it could be a definition. Don't neglect given information. What we mean by that, this is what we mean by that. Look at this given information here, right here at the top. In modern society, there is a pronounced focus on the body and what it takes to achieve so-called beauty by means of diet, exercise, and plastic surgery. This is given information. And following the given information is the topic, rather the question itself. And you need not neglect that given information. You need to refer to it in your writing. All right. Some students, they make the mistake. Let me go back to that slide, something, um, just to explain something. Students, you'd find they focus only on this part. In your opinion, does society go too far? And they don't make some reference to the given information itself. Okay, you need to take the given information into consideration. Is the context that the examiner is giving you. Take that, make reference to that in your writing. Okay, right. As I said, I have to keep moving forward and backward, just so that some slides as we move forward, I will not work on them again because I have already presented them. Right. And make a checklist or mind map of what the question requires. Okay, that will be quite helpful to you to work on. Gathering and generating ideas. Gathering and generating ideas. Do you see where I am? I think I've exhausted topic analysis. I've covered a number of things there. But then let's look at gathering and generating ideas. It's a research assignment or where you are asked to write paragraphs, maybe not an essay, but you are expected to go out and search information. But not only that, I spoke about previously, you don't enter into this writing exercise empty. You could have something possibly helpful which you want to share. So you are able to contribute. So let's look at that phase. Now, again, your writing plan should indicate when are you going, how much time do you need to gather information. So there's a need to gather information. So you're going out to the internet, searching for information which you should use in your essay. You know how that goes about. And not only that, but you're also generating. Someone said, I also come up with ideas. I think in the chat box, I saw such contributions. And let's look at gathering and generating ideas. This is where we talk brainstorming, generating ideas. If you look at this slide on gathering and generating ideas, by the way, you are not yet into the writing phase, the actual writing phase. You are still in the pre-writing phase. You are now gathering ideas because you have understood the topic very, very well. Remember, our workshop tonight is based on structuring essays and the writing process. Maybe I should put it the other way around. It's about the writing process, and I'm taking you through the writing process now, and structuring essays. Okay, and we are grappling with these things, and so far I have put you through the writing process. I'm putting you through the writing process itself. Let's look at gathering and generating ideas. When you're generating ideas, you are brainstorming. In other words, what do I know? Someone make that comment. What do I know? What am I bringing into this? You can generate ideas. And then you are also going to gather ideas from the reference material. You see that? And pick out relevant information, keywords, main ideas from what you are actually writing. Identify the sources that you want to that you are using. Page numbers, as far as possible. Please, it's important. Paraphrase, academic writing. In other words, expressing those ideas using your own words as far as possible. In some instances, you'd use quotations. I will actually show how to do summary writing and paraphrasing of ideas soon. But you need to identify the sources. I actually showed you when you are reading how to do it. What do I know? You start by at the top indicating what you know on the topic and the sources that you are consulting based on the topic. that you have selected. And then indicating, of course, breaking everything down nicely so that you can work effectively with the source. I've shown you how to do it in our previous reading um, workshop. And I think that it has helped the students. So it's gathering and generating ideas. You need to do both of them. And once you have done that, you are ready to go to the next step, which is now organizing those ideas. Do you see there? Organizing those ideas. You're still in the pre-writing phase. Now you're organizing ideas that you have gathered, ideas that you have generated. Let's see how you go about doing that. The idea list is actually helping you to see how to organize those ideas. South Africa's crime rate will not be reduced until the number of guns in circulation is reduced. Discuss. So the student here has actually gathered ideas, and let's look at or has generated some ideas. Let's look at A. In the first paragraph in the body of their essay, they are going to discuss types of crimes, excuse me, as indicated there, and what are they going to include in types of crimes. So they indicate what they will include in that discussion. And then they'll go on in paragraph 2 to look at gun owners, who owns guns, and all the other things that they need to include. It's they organizing themselves. So they indicating the main idea for a paragraph and the supporting details that they will write to explain the main idea and to give evidence supporting that main idea. So they are showing you how that paragraph is going to be developed. Okay, then you have gun owners, you have other things that the student is actually giving there. And you can do the same. You can look at the number of other ideas that are actually given there by the student. It just shows you there, it gives you a plan. Imagine building a house without a foundation. That house will be blown by storms. Imagine writing without a plan. Okay, I mean, really, it won't take shape. You should have the shape of your finished product before you even start writing. A person buys a house sometimes by looking at the plan, and the house hasn't yet been built, and they choose a house based on the plan that is actually presented to them because they like that house. They haven't seen it, they just see the plan and how it looks, and then they choose and say, build for me this house because I like it. Can we say that about our essays? That the plan is so convincing that even before I have even concluded writing the essay, it's an essay that it's a beauty. Can your essay, or do your essays, do you see the beauty of your essays even before you write them? Just from the plan, just from here, how you have generated and gathered the ideas, and you have arranged your ideas logically, and it makes perfect sense before you even draft it. It is the same when you look at a plan, a house plan, you choose to build that house because it looks beautiful on the plan already for you. Does your essay, the finished product, does your essay look that beautiful even before you start writing it? Just from the ideas and the arrangement of those ideas in your plan, I'm challenging you to establish the beauty of your essay right here in advance. Think about the house plan. You decide to build it because it appears beautiful even before it is built, before it is finished. Does your essay appear like that as well? Rather, your plan make your essay appear like that before you even done with it. Okay, because the plan gives you confidence to really continue because you know what you are doing and you're excited because you know where it's going, how it's going to end. It's just going to be beautiful. And you work with excitement, or rather, you work with enthusiasm because you know exactly what you are doing. You are following or implementing a plan that is so beautiful. Does that make sense to you? It should make sense to the students. It should make sense to the students. I hope it does. I hope it does, emphasizing the writing process. And I'm taking you through this slowly because I really don't want you to go out there and make mistakes. These workshops are intended to close gaps. They're intended to be taken, the content to be taken and applied by the students, please. So I have done rewriting, topic analysis, gathering and generating ideas and organizing those ideas. And I've done it slowly to ensure students don't miss any points. Let's then move to the next phase in the writing process. And the next phase here is is drafting. This is where you are producing the draft. And when we produce the draft, we producing the draft, drawing on the ideas that we have decided to use, and we organize those ideas into paragraphs, and each paragraph should include its own topic sentence. Do not focus on correcting the mistakes at this stage is drafting. Focus on letting your ideas flow. Use an outline or mind map of your main ideas and support your main ideas. Support your main ideas. As you can see there, support your main ideas there. Let me just start from the beginning. It says use your pre-writing notes. Use the notes that you've gathered here in stage 2, in stage 3. Organize your writing into paragraphs. Each paragraph should start with its main idea. That is each paragraph in the body. Do not focus on correcting mistakes at this stage. Focus on letting it's still a draft. There will be mistakes. We expect them. You will correct them later. Focus on letting your ideas flow. Use an outline or mind map of your main ideas. You've seen the mind map. Support or develop your main ideas. Right. So before we go to reflection, can we see how these slides I'm skipping because I've already presented them. Topic analysis, I've done that with the students. Planning, mind mapping, I think I've touched on this as well. And organizing our ideas. This is us now still in the pre-writing phase where we organize those ideas logically. What should be first? What should be second? What should be last? We make decisions about those. And now I want us to, before we go to the actual drafting, let's put what we have said into practice. I want us to do this activity. I wonder if it's activity 4. I've skipped other activities. I want us to generate ideas because we don't have research material with us this evening. We can only generate ideas. That's what we can do. In other words, we can only brainstorm. on a topic. I'll tell you which topic. Organize your ideas. After doing it, you organize your ideas in a plan, which will guide you to write your essay. In other words, I'm asking you to brainstorm and arrange those ideas logically or in a way that they will be presented in your essay. Let's give you now a topic. I hope you get what you are expected to do. You are brainstorming on one topic. I'll give you the topic, and having done so, you then organize those ideas very, very well in an orderly manner, which you would use to present them in the essay. I hope you understand the brief there. So which topic are we working on? I want us to work with this one, the first one. The column that I've shaded yellow, that's the topic I want you to work on in generating, to generate ideas. And remember, you just generate and then organize them in a sequence them correctly, the way that you want them to be organized. Right. I have the topic there, and I'm generating some ideas that I will use regarding this topic. So what do? I do this. Okay. Okay, I have the topic there, so I can actually remove this, and I can actually do this, and I can actually do that and reduce it. Okay. Right, just to get the topic there, it will remind me what I need to focus on. Right, so what do I do? Let me see what I can do just for the purpose of this presentation, generating the ideas and through the help of the students. And I have here the topic, of course, is the one that is there on top. So I would write here, it is the topic in the middle. And so what am I going to do in paragraph 1? In paragraph 1, I'll focus on, perhaps I should focus on paragraph 1. Focus on what in modern society there is pronounced focus on body, and what in your opinion, does society go too far in its obsession with weight and physical beauty? Because I'm asked to write an argumentative essay, I think society is not going too far. I think society is not obsessed with weight and beauty, and I would focus on the health benefits. Health benefits. In other words, if people health benefits, if people do exercise, it does not necessarily mean they are obsessed with physical beauty or such things. They are looking for improved health through exercise. So I'm not convinced that that could be an obsession with weight or physical beauty, because exercise, like I'm drawing on the given information that says that people are looking at ways to achieve that perfect look through means such as what? Diet, exercise, and plastic surgery. So I believe that I should disagree with this topic, because when people do exercise, I'm not convinced that they're doing it for I'm not convinced that they're doing it for physical beauty as such, but they're doing it for some benefits. It brings some benefit health-wise on those who are actually doing it, and or participating in those uh, uh, gym exercises or just running, right? That will be paragraph 1, where I highlight how important exercise is for, and when people do that, they are not really looking at um, uh, uh, getting themselves to be a into public admiration of their body. No, they're just looking at the long-term benefits health-wise by participating in exercise, right? And I also look at what the other points that I would like to mention besides just the health benefits through exercise could be in paragraph 3, or rather paragraph 2. I'm hoping that this shows, remember, there would be other supporting details here in terms of health benefits. I will highlight those ones there in terms of health benefits. And I can also write there, besides health benefits, what else in terms of opposing the health, rather the obsession idea. Besides health benefits, I could actually say, let me say, when people are doing it, what are the reasons besides obsession with beauty and obsession with weight? I'm saying it is for health benefits, and it is also for it helps concentration. In other words, when we do exercises, we're looking at sharpening our mind, our concentration span. Let me write it here. We're doing it to sharpen, to sharpen thinking. Okay, because when we write, we need to be fresh. We need not to be stressed, isn't it? In terms of generating ideas. And in order for us to be sharp in terms of thinking, I believe that oxygen, as it is pumped into the brain through exercise, can really sharpen our minds when we working on assignments, because we are not feeling weak and tired and sleepy. We are alert. Why? Because of the oxygen that flows into the brain, which helps us to be able to concentrate even better, because we are actually doing the exercise, and we're not having this obsession with weight and or beauty when we do such perhaps physical exercises, right? And what about diet? When I'm thinking of diet, I'm thinking of health consciousness, right? So the health benefit there is basically just making sure that you have a proper diet, rather not proper diet. You are, yes, maybe taking in a balanced intake of meals in order that, you know, you are careful not to be overweight by overconsumption of fatty foods or fast foods. And so I'm now thinking of here, maybe the third point to include in a paragraph to develop. It could be about, maybe you can help me. You are seeing where I am actually going with this. I'm generating ideas on the topic itself. I'm thinking now of besides health benefit, besides sharpening one's thinking through exercise, and this is not obsession with weight and beauty or physical beauty. Let's look at positive role model. Just being a positive role model, encouraging the young ones. If someone is middle aged, to follow suit, to do the same. Positive role modeling. Okay, role modeling. All right, right. So I have that as another thought that I could actually share as part of my planning. And I can add as many as I like, depending on the number of ways that I'm expected to use. And so I then would actually have what? The ideas, rather the supporting details for each main idea that I have there. So it's the mind map that I am producing, or a idea list that I am producing with supporting details. I don't have supporting details. I'm only having the main ideas. But already you can see I am generating ideas based on the topic that I have there. And I'm doing it right away based on what I know about exercise, about diet. And I'm trying to say, no, these people, they don't do it because they are obsessed with weight and physical beauty. They are doing it because they are actually doing it because they want to have the benefit of a healthier lifestyle. They also want to sharpen their thinking when coming to working on certain tasks, because exercise can do that. It can supply enough oxygen to the brain, which helps in terms of clearing our minds on certain issues, as well as positive role model. People looking up to this one who is middle-aged and still fascinated with doing things that would keep them sharp and not overweight. That could be a very good example for the young ones who are looking up to such people. So I'm going to be explaining each one of them to rebut the idea that it could be done because people are obsessed with weight and physical beauty. So I hope each module has its own topics. It's important to bring something into that topic if you have, but also to research, gathering ideas which are related to the topic will be of a great help to the students as well. I hope this has at least highlighted something. To sum up the presentation, students, I would like to say that tonight or this evening, our focus was on really it was limited to the writing process. It was limited to the writing process. I couldn't proceed to structuring the essay. I'm hoping on Friday I would then show the structure of an essay so that those ideas now appear in a structured essay. And from there on, we would present on a different topic, a workshop for next week. But this Friday, I think the second part would be covered, how to structure the ideas the ideas to be presented in our essay, to be written in our essay. So with this said, I would like to thank you for making time to be part of this workshop, and I'm hoping that it was beneficial to you as it is to me as usual. And I'm looking forward to having you once again on Friday, this Friday, and working with you on structuring the structure of our essay. We know the plan, but now let's structure the essay itself. So with these few words, thank you and see you on Friday, students.